Welcome to Awesome Living. I'm Gwen Awesome. Yes, my real name if you're new, and I am so happy that you're here. It's a brand new year, and so far, it's been the best year of my life. Claiming it. It's been slow, it's been easy, it's been aligned, lots of exciting new opportunities, lots of wrenches. Okay. There have been some wrenches thrown in that I know are going to turn into awesome unfoldings, and I will share them on this podcast. Some really, really interesting things. But the stories have not. They're not ready to be told. The cake is not fully baked yet. So I will share those with you soon. But I always got to remind myself, and I share this with you as well, that if something is happening, a wrench of some kind is being thrown into your plan, remind yourself that it's happening for you and not to you. And I don't say that as I actually believe what I'm saying when I say that now. That used to be something I'd throw around like, oh, it's not happening for me, it's happening to me. Um, or whatever, you know what I'm saying. But now I actually am very curious when something, quote, goes awry to see what could this be getting me to instead. So keep your eyes open for that. Also, there's been a fresh update to the podcast. This is officially my first episode after renaming it Awesome Living. I think when I self-titled the podcast, it was really for me to have the opportunity to create whatever I wanted, to really lean into being myself, to allow myself the ability to figure it out. And I don't know, maybe it was a worthiness thing too, that I wanted to have a podcast with my own name. And you know what? I had a blast. I had almost a year of weekly podcasting, the Gwen Awesome podcast. But it is time to grow. It is time to create the Awesome Living podcast. It has become clear to me. So, what exactly is awesome living? Here's how I am defining it. It really, first, there's some context. It really seems like humans are having a very, very different life experiences. Some of us are suffering day in, day out, having a horrible time, depressed, struggling to pay bills, just having a tough go of life. And then there are other people who seem to be living some version of heaven on earth. Nothing but green lights, alignment, abundant, fun. Their cup runneth over with cash and joy. They look genuinely happy. What is going on here? So, as a self appointed investigative reporter who's lived long enough in the struggle zone and am truly ready to embrace the heaven on earth life experience vibe, this is a personal curiosity, as well as I'm sure if you're drawn to this show, something you may be curious as well. How are people living such awesome lives? What is going on here? So here's how I define awesome living. It is fun, joyful, abundant. There's freedom, there's prosperity, there's a dash of that out of the blue sparkle. Those things where you don't necessarily see them coming, but they delight you to no end. For example, I was going for a walk today and Slam Dunk Da Funk by Five came on. Highlight of the day. Also, it could feel like Christmas morning, just going from one thing to the next with ease and presence and grace and just enjoying your day. So, the people I would love to interview on the show, whether they won an Oscar, they're taking a dream family vacation, they're just living an awesome life, and you can just sense it. You know, when you see something, you're just like, awesome. Whether it's the aurora borealis or a rainbow. Whoa, awesome. So we're gonna have some fun on this show. So as of right now, I aim to have weekly episodes still on Thursdays. Just this year, I'm going to give myself a little extra grace if I don't have the episode out at 7 a.m. on Thursdays, which was my plan, which I had to follow through with in 2023. This year, I'm going to do my best to get it out at the exact same time. And if not, like today, 7 p.m., it's all good. It's all good. So I want to end on the seed that was planted for me of a story of awesome living that truly inspires me. And I think about it every day. So Prasanna Ranganathan was a guest on the show just a few weeks ago, and he shared the most awesome story of publishing a book with his mom. And I think it needs some extra attention. I want to share it again. So I'm going to share the clip right after I'm talking here. And I really encourage you to listen to it, even if you have heard it before. Hey, maybe you'll get something new from it again today. I just think of it all the time. So I'm very excited to see what the year has in store for us. I know it's going to be awesome. And I hope you hang out with me, subscribe, and stay tuned. And I'm so excited to see what unfolds for all of us this year. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day. You mentioned your mom, and
Yes.
I would love for you to tell us about the creation of the book that you made with your mom, Made with Prema, a celebration of vegetarian cooking. I am so fascinated and curious. Tell us about making a book with your mom. Just how was that creative process? How did you do it?
So it is probably the thing I am the most proud of in my life, and I'm so grateful. So my mom taught cooking classes for the last 50 years. She had a catering business. She did charitable fundraisers, and like for her, food was always the love letter she wrote to anyone that came to the table. And it was a love letter. I always describe it as like it was a love letter she wrote to her mother who taught her how to cook. It was a love letter she wrote to her ancestors who shared recipes. It was a love letter she wrote to the other immigrant women in Saskatchewan that formed community with her when she was so far away from family. And so her dream was always to share her recipes in writing. And I think for her, it was a way to tell her story through food. Also let the world know that she was here, but also hope that like she could share a part of our community and culture through others. So every time someone brought to life a recipe in their kitchen, they were almost, I don't know, just bringing a part of our family into their homes. She really loved that. So at the beginning of the pandemic, she started the writing process. My mom and I are both, I'm blind and my mom's legally blind. And she is not able to like use the computer to type. So what she did was she recorded a lot of voice notes that her friend in Saskatoon transcribed for her. She talked to her friend in Saskatoon on the landline, and her friend would type up the recipes. And so when she reached out to me, she's like, I have a few recipes. Like, do you think you can help me like put it into a book and we could maybe print a few copies? I was like, sure. She sent me a document. It was 308 recipes. And I said, Mom, this is like actually a book. Like this is a whole book. It is not just like a few recipes. So I spent the summer. She had worked on it for 6 months. She sent it to me. I spent about 4 months doing the chapters, writing the intro, getting the testimonials, putting it together. And then I thought we would self-publish. And so someone was like, I think you should just write to a few publishers and see if there's interest. We'd done research and we knew that cooking cookbooks were typically celebrity chefs now, or people with large Instagram followings, because like that translated to sales. And my mom has no online presence. So I sent out a few proposals, and then I sent a proposal to Rupi Kaur, who is this incredible poet, four best-selling books, a world tour. She's just phenomenal. She's based in Toronto, and her manager are friends. And so I sent them the proposal, and I was just like, can you give me some feedback? Like, what are things we should do? And they called me back a week later and they said, we're actually starting an imprint that's focused on amplifying the voices of South Asian women like your mom. And we would like the book to be our first publication. And like, I wasn't even asking them to publish. I was just like, can you give me advice on the proposal? And so when we talk about those alignment moments where we couldn't have even seen something happening, that happened. And so when I told my mom cried on the phone, and she was so excited her book was being published. But she said to me, she's like, I never thought anyone would care about what I had to say. And it both broke my heart, but it also just reminded me that so many times people are walking through this world with so much expertise and knowledge and like gifts and abundance to share with other people, and they're ignored or they're diminished or they're devalued. So what are the things we can do on a daily basis to notice people, to amplify their voices, to give people opportunities? We all have the power to do that. And I think when my mom said that to me, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do in my life going forward that creates pathways for people who didn't see themselves in certain spaces?
That is the most beautiful, heartbreaking, heartwarming, uplifting story.
Yeah.
And that is so cool that you emailed Rupi. And I was actually your bubble. Like I was also researching Rocky Muta.
Yeah, Rocky's amazing. Rocky and Ruby are the ones that created the imprint, published the book. They are so amazing. We actually just met this week to celebrate because we completely sold out the entire print run of the cookbook. My mom did not imagine, I didn't imagine a lot of things that have happened to us over the last year, but like Mindy Kaling shared the book with her community. Lily Singh featured us in her book club. Like it's all been blessings that have been unlocked just by I can't describe it as any other way than things, the stars aligned, or there was like a spiritual dimension to it, or it's just something that was beyond us. And I'm just really, really grateful for that because I don't think any of us imagined this being such an incredible experience. And it's been beyond our wildest expectations.
Wow. I just wow. What's so I need like a minute for this. Like to process because I can just the fact that it came like, yeah, your mom didn't have a huge social media presence. She didn't even, I think I saw she didn't even she didn't even write down a recipe or transcribing them. You
Yeah.
just emailed. Wow. I'm
Yeah,
just,
I did a bit of like preliminary research. I knew that there was a market for this. I think the thing that was also really powerful was when my mom told me about the book and I said, okay, this is what we're doing. She's like, well, I don't want to make money off of it. I was like, okay, like what are your thoughts? She's like, well, I want 100% of our profits to go to the CNIB. So
right.
it's also ended up becoming a fundraiser for an organization that like transformed my life. I became legally blind in 2005 and it happened pretty abruptly just as I started my career as a lawyer, which is a career that requires a lot of reading and a lot of like use of your eyes. And I think there's ways around it, but I just hadn't known. So I was at a point in my life where I was so afraid that the thing I had studied for was going to be hard for me to navigate going forward. And the CNIB gave me resources and tools and supports that not only helped me navigate the tangible elements of vision loss, but also gave me the confidence to realize that I could build a life where my dreams were as alive and as bold as they ever were. Like there were ways for me to thrive and not just survive. And my mom, knowing how much the CNIB has done for me, was really adamant that like the book was going to be a fundraiser for them. So we're excited to make that donation this year as well.